Welcome to the Metropolitan Mobility Podcast. Who have we got on the show? What's your name?
My name is Shreya Gadepalli, and I'm an Indian urban mobility expert who's been working for about 27 years in the field, trying to make cities better for everyone.
It's a really short way of saying it. You've done much more. You've done a master's degree in industrial design from the Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi. You've, in the late 90s, you launched in India, it is actually true, this program of the Institute for Transportation and Development, the ITDP.
Yes.
Is it all you? From the 1990s already. I wanted to talk about, to get it concrete, about cycling in Mumbai and other Indian cities and all your experience. Bus, the role of the bus. You talk a lot about the role of the bus. Most importantly, walking. Like just walk, not electric walking, but normal walking.
Yes.
You've been obviously, on the internet they described you as a former South Asian director of ITDP. Is that true, or is it fake news?
That's true.
It's true.
Well, I founded the South Asia office of ITDP in the late 90s, and I led it for 23 years.
Can you talk us, before we go into all that, a little about your integrated vision on urban mobility?
I describe my vision as creating cities where people find moving around absolutely seamless without having to depend on personal motor vehicles, where walking and cycling are safe and fun, not just safe but also fun.
Yep.
And where public transport is so omnipresent that I call this the 555 public transport model, where you get public transport within 5 minutes walking from wherever you are. You get public transport within 5 minutes of you arriving at the bus stop or the metro station.
Yes.
And you reach your destination with a delay of no more than 5 minutes. So that's the 555 public transport model. Cities in general across the world, but cities especially in India, barely function for able-bodied young men, right? Everyone else has some kind of disability in effect with the way the mobility system is designed.
Yep.
We make it absolutely terrible to walk in the cities,
Yep.
even though nearly half the trips in Indian cities are on walking and cycling, right? And public transportation is just about there in the larger cities. The smaller cities, they don't even have formal public transportation. It's all informal in the form of minivans and
Yep.
auto rickshaws, which make up for the fact that there is no public transportation.
Yep.
And so the only way people manage to get mobility is to buy first a motorcycle and then eventually a car.
Yep.
Right? That's, even though they are not the majority modes. The majority modes are walking, cycling, and using public transportation. So what does this mean in terms of women's participation in the workforce?
Yep.
Across India, if you look at statistics, only 1 in 5 women who's capable of working is actually employed, meaningfully employed. But 4 out of 5 men are meaningfully employed because they have access to personal motor vehicles,
Yep.
right? Women do not have access to personal motor vehicles, even if there is a personal motor vehicle in the family. They depend a lot more on public transportation, right? Nearly 50% of all women's trips are using public transportation.
It's humongous.
That's huge, but it's not there, right? So even when cities make claims of making public transportation free for women, my first question is, great, but where's the bus?
Yep.
Right? First bring the bus, then make it free. Don't speak about making a bus free when it doesn't even exist in the first place.
Can you just describe the Metrobus system that is running in Istanbul? Have you taken it?
Yes. So Metrobus, so a few Indian cities, I'm actually kind of done
All the
with
listeners
Metrobus.
have no got a clue what a Metrobus is. They think it's a
Yes.
metro, so we should explain
So
what it is.
Let's explain. So the metro bus is a very simple idea that you use the bus, the humble bus, to create a metro quality public transportation system by ensuring that it has a dedicated right of way,
Yep.
right? It has exclusive lanes. by making sure that it's easy to get in and out of the bus, by making sure that the fare collection becomes very simple by having off-board ticketing, and making sure that the bus fleet itself is high quality like a metro by having air-conditioned coaches. And so effectively you're creating a metro but at a fraction of the cost, and a metro that can reach every corner of the city without having to have dedicated rails, right? Because roads are everywhere, and as long as you can create exclusive lanes for buses on those roads, you create a metro for everyone.
And you only have to get one car lane out and then...
Exactly. So I don't even call it getting one car lane out. I say reclaiming one lane for the bus, because the bus has the right. When a bus can carry...
You say a lot about communication, that the way we speak about it should be different, and you immediately start doing it even with me, and I already then also learn from you now already. It's fine. What do you think of the West Coast Highway, or how do you call it? The Mumbai,
coastal road.
The coastal road. What do you think of the coastal roads in Mumbai? First of all, costing billions to make.
Yeah, so it's a fancy project for a few. That's what it is, right? It's an extremely expensive project for the rich of the city, who barely account for a minute share of the number of people in the city. Like if you look at Mumbai statistics, the number of people who are using cars and also taxis, because taxis effectively are cars, is just about 1/10 of all trips. So we've created 1/10 of all trips. The majority of trips that nobody talks about are on rail, the suburban rail system that
Can
Mumbai
you give
has.
the total amount, because the percentage, because even I coming here, like 20 million is so much that what are the total numbers that are in the public transport system, because for us it's just so much, it's the numbers.
Yeah. So as in,
approximately.
Some of the numbers might be a little, plus or minus.
We do the fact check.
Yeah. The suburban rail does something between 7 to 8 million trips a day, right? That's the number of trips that are happening on suburban rail. Buses do about 3 million trips a day in Mumbai, give or take. Used to do a lot more, but systematically the number of buses have come down in Mumbai, both in absolute numbers and even more so in per capita numbers, because the population has kept growing.
And then the total
number
amount
of buses.
To give you an idea, I was reading that it was around about 3,000 buses now, and it used to be 5, so it was decreased.
It's decreased, decreased
by 2,000
in absolute numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's decreased in per capita terms even more, because the population has increased.
Oh, I missed that one. Yeah, I understand.
Right?
Yeah,
Right? So in effect, you have not only a 40% reduction in absolute numbers, but in reality the reduction is of the order of about 65%.
Okay, going back to this
But I want to make a comparison here. So Bombay wants to be a Shanghai or a Beijing, right? The funny thing is that Beijing, which is similarly sized to Bombay, has 28,000 buses, right? So if India really wants to make it, right, and beat China, and I'm all for it, it also needs to beat China in terms of availability of public transportation, and especially the buses.
And can you then, can you, together with me, imagine on that immensely costing road, which is already there, it's only for 1/10 of the vehicles, but there is a bus lane now, so it is there. Can you imagine there could be a metro bus running and then actually going through, it is there now? Yeah, we could break it down as well.
So, I think, it does some service in the sense that it can, see, the coastal road is essentially touching the city only at a couple of points, right? It touches at Bandra, then it touches at Worli, and then it touches at near Haji Ali, and then further down, right?
Only 3 points.
4
a
points,
normal
right?
metro or normal metro bus has got stops every 800 or kilometer.
So if you want public transportation to work, I don't even say 800 meters, because I think if public transportation really needs to work, it needs to be within a 5-minute walking distance. If it has to be within 5-minute walking distance, then bus stops need to be 300 to 400 meters apart, not 800 meters apart. That's again another problem that has happened with bus stops in Mumbai and other cities, that they've gradually reduced the number of bus stops with the aim of trying to improve the speed of the bus.
Yes.
But also with the aim of trying to reduce the number of times the buses stop and hence the other traffic stops, right? So it's about traffic. It's not about buses.
Because the buses, the red buses here get stuck in the traffic system all the time.
Exactly.
Like
and it's not of their own creation. Like think of this, like Mumbai only has 3,000 red buses. 3,000 red buses is a minuscule amount of the traffic in the city.
Yeah.
But red buses are blamed for traffic jams just because they're huge in size, right?
How many bus lanes are there actually in the street plan of Mumbai with separate lanes?
None. So there were attempts to do this in the Bandra Kurla complex a few years back, but that was just a temporary test. It had phenomenal results in terms of bus speed improvements, in terms of the throughput of passengers, but it was never taken up for implementation. So it's a pity that a city like Bombay is not implementing exclusive bus lanes, and what I would want to ideally see a metro bus of the kind that Istanbul has or a Bogota has, which really looks, feels and operates like a metro.
If you would look at the street plan of Mumbai, if you look at the peninsula and you think of east-west, which three or first two express metro buses would you, of course there will be roundabouts and difficulty, I understand.
Yeah, I think so.
Which things, where would you, with all your expertise, think of?
Yeah, so I think that first of all, Mumbai being a linear city, it does have certain benefits in terms of the radial nature.
Yep.
There's of course the whole line coming from Western Express Highway, which was created about 2 decades back, which connects the western suburbs all the way down to South Mumbai, right?
Yeah.
Then there's also the Eastern Express Highway, which also connects the eastern suburbs all the way down to South Mumbai. So these two make obvious sense.
Yep.
But there's also the JVLR, for example, right?
That's the east-west.
That's the east-west line, right? So these absolutely make sense.
Then we've got already three.
Already 3 lines.
Out of nothing.
But I would say that there are many more opportunities to do that, to also interconnect many multiple east-west lines. Yep. You can, especially in the peninsula itself, create multiple other parallel bus lane infrastructure, right? So it's possible to do, but it requires political will.
The new metro is costing 30 rupees and it's costing the Aqua Line. But the buses, they are cheaper, but they're totally overcrowded. And you see that suddenly this product is totally overcrowded with not enough buses there and no special lanes and devaluating the whole product.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you agree, or was it like did I have a Western lens on?
No, I completely agree. So one of the things that we've missed is that we've not made buses attractive, right? I actually use the word we're not making buses sexy enough.
Yeah.
Right. Our ambition is all about creating metro rail. Yeah. And I have nothing against metro rail. In certain contexts, it completely makes sense to create a metro rail. But having a few metro rail lines is not enough to connect a mega city like Mumbai. You also need hundreds of kilometers of metro bus to complement the metro rail and the suburban rail which is there. To make it seamless for people to get across from wherever they are, to go to wherever they want to go.
What is the major thing, as an expert, you should think should be done to the bus system in Mumbai?
So, first of all, I think there's an ambition that needs to be set when it comes to buses. We need to have buses everywhere, to go anywhere, in comfort, on time, without breaking the bank. Number 2, now you need to triple the number of buses and you need to make the fare half, and you need to make sure that every single bus in the city is air conditioned and it comes to your doorstep and reaches your office or the mall or wherever you want to go.
And number 3, can you just say in history what has happened to the buses coming down from 5,000 to 3,000 and where should it go?
So look at what buses used to be. So if you look at movies from the 1980s, and Bombay is also the hub of movies in India, Bollywood, pretty much every movie showed romance in buses. Pretty much every bus showed romance in buses. We've lost that romance with buses, right? We kind of let them go downhill. The quality of the bus went downhill. The number of buses have just completely gone down abysmally. As I previously said, while the population has doubled, the number of buses has become half. So in effect, people have only 1/4 the number of buses per capita. I'm not surprised people hate buses.
Bus systems in other Indian cities where you do think this is the way, maybe not 100%, but this is way it should be done?
Absolutely. So, I would say that Ahmedabad set off on the right path. I wouldn't say that it has followed through completely, but it set off on the right path with the creation of Janmarg bus rapid transit system. This was back in 2006 to 2009 when the first of the corridors were created, and subsequently in the years ensuing, the city created nearly a 90-kilometer network of bus rapid transit.
And with how many buses approximately?
So as of now, the number of buses has sort of come down a little bit, but I would say the number is around 300 to 400 buses, right, in total. That's the number of buses, and this dedicated network works really well in the city. It provided people a complete alternative to what they were used to.
And why did it work so well?
So it worked well because the system was it was designed very well, right? It had the right kind of bus infrastructure integrated with the right kind of stations which were created. The buses were all air conditioned. You had easy boarding and alighting, which meant you just walked in and out like a metro. You had off-board ticketing to make it faster for the buses.
Then did you already see it in the amount of people that were actually taking it?
And a lot of people started taking the bus who were previously not on the bus. We did surveys to find out exactly who was traveling on these buses.
What was the change in percentage?
If my numbers are right, back in 2009 when these surveys were done, close to about 40% of people were people who were not using the bus previously, who had shifted to the bus.
That's big.
That's pretty big, right? Well, a substantial number of that number was from two-wheelers, motorcycles, but a small percentage, not insignificant, was also from cars who were willing to shift to the bus because it made it more convenient for them to use the bus, right? So I think Ahmedabad really started off well. It set the example of what a good quality bus rapid transit system should be like in India. It had all the right elements. It also had the right institutional structure, which ensured that the municipal corporation and the police department came together to form this, which meant that the management of buses on the streets was done by the police the right way, as against not bothering about it. So on the whole, it came together as a brilliant system. Unfortunately, the investment in buses hasn't kept pace with the increase in population in the city.
How many people live there?
So Ahmedabad now has a population of about 7 million people, right? And what it really needs is about 4,000 buses in total, right?
For 7 million people, only 300 buses, that is not much.
It's a very small number, right? And what Ahmedabad right now has in all buses, not just metro bus or like Janmarg, but also other buses put together, is under 1,000.
What is actually in the comments your fourth point you would really like to quote on?
Mumbai, being a linear city, already has multiple north-south rail lines. What's missing deeply is the east-west connection. There's one east-west metro connection now, but there was a really nice experiment that was done with bus lanes in the Bandra Kurla complex, which is an east-west connection. Brilliant results in terms of the bus speed improvements, in terms of number of passengers who are throughputed. There's no reason why Mumbai cannot immediately go ahead with creating a metro bus in BKC. Now, in addition, there are multiple other east-west connections in the north, like between JVLR, they're within the city, in the peninsula as well. And there's no reason why the Western Express Highway and the Eastern Express Highway, which come all the way down to the south, should not have dedicated bus lanes as well. to make sure that every corner of the city is connected with dedicated bus lanes and is integrated with the rail. And when I say rail, the suburban rail, but also the metro rail that the city is creating.
Totally clear. Can we go to walking?
Absolutely.
Walking. Why is walking such a big subject? And let's go straight to Mumbai. And what were your main comments? Would be your main advice? But let's start off with the problem always. Like, what is the problem at this moment?
Before that, let me ask you, when I say birds, what do you think?
Freedom.
And flight, right?
Yeah.
They fly.
Yeah.
When I say fish, what do you think?
Freedom in the ocean, and they go
Swim.
all over. Yeah.
Right? Freedom
Yeah.
to swimming. And when I say human beings, what do you think?
Have them caged in a car. I'm not going all the way to you.
It's walking.
No, I think it's
Right,
a better
human
idea to get everybody a car. No,
Brilliant.
I understand walking.
Walking, right? So birds fly.
Not
fish-
electric walking? Would you not like electric walking?
Yeah. So when people ask me about electric cars, if they are not going to solve the problem, I tell them that if a car is a can of Coke, then an electric car is a can of Diet Coke. They're both Coke. One of the most celebrated things in human life is when your children start walking, right? We take photographs of our children and tell the whole world that my child has started walking.
Yep.
If it's such an important thing, why is it that our cities make it impossible to walk?
I think it's such a big point. I've been here now 5 days and I was absolutely stunned.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunned how bad there is no place to walk on the sidewalk. There, people are walking on the streets.
Yeah.
But even worse, if you want to cross the streets, they've blocked everything. That, yeah, it's a designeral thing. And then
Yeah.
I come to zebras and I had to cross a crossing where the highway came down. And I thought to myself,
I'm going to die today.
absolutely, and I filmed it.
Yes.
And this is not a joke. This is actually somebody who is designing. This is not human behavior.
Yes.
It's not even from the cars. It's not human. This is designed
Yes.
to get hit.
To kill.
Yeah, exactly. To kill. Sorry. You say it.
Yeah.
I don't. I was like,
I don't know Mumbai specific statistics,
Yeah.
but I know them for Chennai. In Chennai, you would be aghast that every single day, 4 people who leave their home do not come back because they're killed in an accident, in a road accident. It's not a road accident, it's a road crash, and they were killed by design, by making streets deadly for walking, right? 2 of those 4 people are pedestrians
every day.
every day, right?
Humongous.
So this is madness.
And this will be for
Why is it-
Mumbai. Will be how big was that city?
So Chennai is about half the size of Mumbai.
10 million,
Now,
and this
yeah.
is 20 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that
And then
we,
what I always say, can you go also in the statistic, like we tend to look at black spots and then dying, that okay, everybody feels it.
Yeah.
But then you
Now
see
it's
the
very
amount
clear.
of nearly hits.
no,
but
it's also very clear when it comes to Chennai, when you actually mark the points where people are getting killed, these are all urban highways within the city.
Yep.
Not a single one of them is actually killed on urban streets, on small urban streets where the traffic is
and
slow.
is that example that you make zebra crossings?
Yes.
Over
So we
highways.
actually worked with the Municipal Corporation of Chennai to make sure that the city starts opening up zebra crossings across the whole city to make it more convenient for
Yeah.
children to cross the street, right? That's what we need to do. Rather than creating these blocks which are 1 meter
Yeah.
high, which are impossible to cross, but which people still try to cross
Yeah.
because that's the only way to get across the street.
And what I found really annoying that then they say the Indian people can't behave and they're all going over the place. Yeah, if you design it the way you make half fences, that I would do the same. I would actually do the same.
The only people who can cross this street are able-bodied men who can jump 1 meter high barriers. What about women? What about older people? What about small little kids? How do they even get across the street? If they can't even get across the street, you've killed their future. You've killed the possibility of them ever getting out of their house because they are limited now in a cage. So even though there is a big city, their life is limited to a cage.
Have you seen like some bits and pieces where you say walking has improved, or you say, I'm really sorry, well, I see it on your face already, not yet?
Unfortunately, Mumbai is not there on the top of the list in terms of improving either.
And maybe in another city from your from
but there
all
are
your
other
work?
cities, like for example, Chennai and Pune.
Yeah,
Pune
they
is
have
not
made
too far.
changes on
They've
the
made
walking.
changes on the walking.
And
right?
what did they change?
What did they change? They started reclaiming space for people to walk, right? Space which was rightfully that of the pedestrians. And when they reclaimed this space and created nice footpaths for people, more people started walking. We actually have documented data where the number of people who were walking on those streets, absolute number of people were still walking in the past, just that they had no space to walk on a footpath, and therefore they were walking on the carriageway. But now they were walking on the footpath, it was nice and convenient, and the absolute number of people increased between 50 to 200%.
We hardly got 20, we call this the mega cities.
That's
and
right.
This Mumbai is a mega city.
That's right.
And it's with that peninsula, here it is
Very
packed. So
packed.
that's what the reason also that you see so many, that you see even walking is so crowded, while you on the other side you see 3 car lanes and you think to yourself, maybe make it a little bit wider to walk.
Yeah.
And what the funny thing is,
So
what you
just think-
actually see on the streets,
Yeah.
you see the people walking, and what you think to yourself, these Indians, they are crazy that they walk, but the reason that they walk there is because there is a lack of space.
Exactly. There's no space for, like, even when there are footpaths, the footpaths are so tiny and sometimes very high. I joke that something got lost in translation, that a footpath means it needs to be a foot high and a foot wide. Well, there's absolutely no question that you need to start making footpaths wider, making sure that there are ample number of crossings on the street and that's emphasis on the fact that these cannot be foot over bridges, because foot over bridges are a piece of car infrastructure. They make sure that the car doesn't stop for the pedestrian, right? The pedestrian is made miserable for having to climb up 2 flights of stairs and then cross, and get such an opportunity every 1/2 kilometer or 1 kilometer.
This is really why I like your work. You really reframe this. I've actually seen it, and I said it to my cameraman. I also said, this is the problem. You're getting the people up walking here.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, exactly.
Why? As in, the only reason why you're doing that is to make sure that the car doesn't have to stop. So footpaths are not footpaths, they are car paths.
Let's start off with you. What would you say on cycling in Mumbai?
Don't even get me started. Yeah, I think nobody thinks about cycling, right? No, even though Mumbai is a relatively flat city, which would be brilliant for cycling to get everywhere.
Yep.
Cycling would also be a brilliant connection to public transportation because of the fact that you have a lot of north-south public transport connections.
Yes.
But cycling is just completely out of the picture, because we've made us
completely out.
It's completely out. Like you very, like, you know, in some few parts here and there you might see people cycling, but cycling has really dramatically come down.
But what happened was it ever on here or never?
No, cycling was there. Like, so I would say that cycling was very big in most Indian cities till the 90s, and then that's when the whole boom of motorcycles happened, and people started, at least the men, started leaving cycles and going towards
motorcycles and
right?
or scooters,
right.
or yeah.
As a child who grew up in the 70s and the 80s, I used to cycle to school.
Yeah?
Yeah, I cycled to school, right? This is not surprising to anybody who's from my generation, because we all cycled to school. It was, you know, the done thing. Like you just turn up in the morning.
Also, when you were 14, 16, you just went.
Yes, and it was like freedom, right? Cycling also meant you didn't have to depend on your parents to take you anywhere. You just took a cycle and you went off wherever you wanted to go to with your friends. But since the 90s, when the liberalization in India happened and people were able to get more motorcycles and cars, the big boom in motorcycles happened. That's when cities went from being cycling cities to motorcycling cities.
But is there a plan in Mumbai to do something about like Paris or Don or even Istanbul? They make steps, they've got some lines
steps.
and...
So unfortunately, I've not seen Mumbai really take steps in improving cycling at all.
Not at all.
You know, you might put a cycling track on the coastal road as having achieved something, but that's a recreational cycling track.
That's not enough
cycling,
no.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't connect anywhere to anywhere. You know, you go there.
Like, to give people an idea, is there any safe cycling paths within the city of Mumbai?
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, zero. The answer is zero.
That says everything.
Right? And a lot of people have been trying, like, you know, Mumbai has a cycling mayor, there are lots of other cycling activists who've been pushing for making cycling safe and fun. But in action, there's very little. Like, you know, you would have a weekend event here or there and people would cycle, but is it safe to cycle every day? Would you send your child on a cycle to the street?
No, okay, but that's always what I think is important, like, take steps. But what I find important to look at Mumbai or maybe another Indian cities, like, are there examples where they make the first 4 lines with the metro bus? Like, is there cities where they say that we've got 4 good cycling lanes from east to west, 4 from north to east? It's not complete yet. Everybody else, it's not yet Copenhagen. It's not yet there, but have you got, give some light, please.
Sure. So one, you know, I am of the opinion that you don't necessarily always need a dedicated cycle track. What you need is seamless connectivity using a cycle, which oftentimes means making sure that it's safe to cross an intersection, right? When we did multiple surveys, I and my team did multiple surveys, the biggest obstacle to people who are not cycling is actually unsafe intersections, because they don't know from where a vehicle will come and hit them, not along the street. Number 2, the issue of parking, and we've not talked about it, but unless we fix the question of parking, we can pretty much say goodbye to the idea of cycling, because parking is what really kills, as in not only does it occupy somewhere between a third to half the whole street space, but it kills the possibility of cyclists actually going safely because of the doors that are opening constantly and for the cyclists to be able to cycle on the street.
Yep.
So,
and to give you an idea also about Mumbai, I was doing research before I came. It had around about 1.7 million cars on 20 million. Is that approximately, or is it suddenly 3 million? Or
no,
is
it's not. But you're
something
in the right
like
ballpark. That's right.
And that means that you also have like around about 2.5 parking places. Most of the times we do it by 1.5 or sometimes even 2.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. In Holland we've got 10 million cars now, very small country, and 20 million parking places.
Spots. That's right.
Is that like, would you say
it's
the same?
It's a very similar story here, because especially if you look at the pre-1990, anything that was built without parking, right? So buildings don't have, like, none of these buildings are built in an age when cars were
we are here now in the old Mumbai,
right? And really, cars really started taking off only in the last 2 decades in India, because people did not have money to buy cars. Cars were expensive, right? So most of the cars that you see have come since the early 2000s or 20 years back. Until then, buildings were not built necessarily with parking, which meant that most of these cars are just parked on the street to start with, right? Second thing to keep in mind is that maybe that's a good thing, provided you start charging for parking on the street, which makes people rethink whether or not they should buy a car in the first place, right? Which we've not done. So in a place like Mumbai, while you have a few pockets here and there near, say, the Flora Fountain, in the fort area, where you charge a fairly high amount, something like 100 rupees or 150 rupees per hour, most of the city you can park for free in this city, which means that you're basically leaving a piece of extremely expensive real estate for cars to occupy. In a city where real estate rules, the most prime real estate, which is street real estate, we're letting it just go for free. And that is completely not done.
And maybe, yep, I totally understand. The second thing, like if we switch a little bit from cycling towards parking, then you've got, are there permits here? Yes or no? Is it limited permits? Yes or no?
There's absolutely no limitation. Like
there's no limitation, so it's free to go.
It's free, yeah. You
So
just,
everybody can with one, the only limitation is actually, if you correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing is, have you got enough money?
Yeah, if you have enough money, and you don't
buy
even need
2
enough
cars,
money.
3 cars, 4 cars.
You don't even need enough money because the bank is very willing to give you a loan. So if you have just a little bit of money, you can go to a car shop, pay a small little upfront money, something like 20%. 80% of it, the bank gives you as a loan, which you keep paying for the next 5-7 years.
Yep.
And you have a car, right? You pay a lifetime, like this might blow you. You pay a lifetime registration tax.
Maybe where we finally come to disagree a little bit, but can be like, I'm also, yes, charging for parking, I agree. But what I found sometimes is a better solution is take away the parking place. Why do I say that? Because it's the really rich people suddenly say, oh, I'm really happy, do it. Because they don't they don't care because they've got so much money that they're actually happy, let's get the rest out. So we sometimes say, move away car places for a far bigger thing, and we're not probably haven't got the time because you have to go for water resilience, heat stress, playing streets, playing children. Like payment is right, but then sometimes we really try to get it out, or is that too hard?
Okay, so I'm with you in terms of removing parking spaces, absolutely. So I'm not suggesting that somehow we should retain all these parking spaces on the street. Parking is a piece of real estate that is ideally done inside buildings, not on the street.
Absolutely.
Right? The street has far more important roles to play, which is for mobility and for people to enjoy the city. And if that's true, then for the private sector to start building parking at market rate, you need to make parking on the street difficult and expensive. I don't think this is an equity question. When only 5 to 6% of the city actually uses cars, there are other number when I said about 8
million people being in public transport.
In public transport. There are people who are using taxis, but taxis are not occupying parking spaces because they're constantly moving most of the time. When only 5 to 6% of people in the city actually have cars, none of them are poor. They are the top 5% of the city.
This is interesting. When you talk about these numbers, then you really go like on 20 million, that's like...
So they should be paying for parking, whether it's on the street or inside a building, right? So there's absolutely no question that parking needs to be...
I'm actually looking out the window and I'm thinking to myself, I'm switching my point of view now, actually. I agree.
Right.
Okay, let's try to make one comment on the cycling. What needs to be done on cycling in Mumbai? If you may make 3 major points. Point 1.
Fix parking.
No, that's funny.
I'm
Point
serious.
2. Yeah, I understand.
Make intersections safe.
Point 3.
Have more trees.
I would really like to thank you that you came all the way down here, and I was really glad to actually meet you, and I've learned things again, also reframing and thinking of how you guys do this in India, taking step by step. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Cheers. I would like to add 2 things to this film. 1, we are organizing a conference on the 16th and 17th of April in Mumbai on sustainable mobility. If you want to join, send me a DM by LinkedIn. There are only a few spots. And the second thing is, if you really like these films, you can donate by the QR code. We would really appreciate it, even a small amount. Thank you very much for watching.